Good morning. It is Friday, September 27th, and this is a special edition of Michigan Mornings. I'm Matthew Handley. Today is the memorial of St. Vincent de Paul. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to share some inspiration for you, and we're going to have the two readings from the Office of Readings today. And we begin with a reading from the book of the prophet Ezekiel. On the 10th day of the month, beginning the 25th year of our exile, 14 years after the city was taken, that very day the hand of the Lord came upon me, and brought me in divine visions to the land of Israel, where he set me down on a very high mountain. On it there seemed to be a city being built before me. When he had brought me there, all at once I saw a man whose appearance was that of bronze. He was standing in the gate, holding a linen cord and a measuring rod. The man said to me, Son of man, look carefully and listen intently, and pay strict attention to all that I will show you, for you have been brought here so that I may show you. Tell the house of Israel all that you see. Then he led me to the gate which faces the east, and there I saw the glory of the God of Israel coming from the east. I heard something like the roaring of many waters, and the earth shone with his glory. The vision was like that which I had seen when he came to destroy the city, and like that which I had seen by the river Chebar. I fell prone as the glory of the Lord entered the temple by way of the gate which faces the east. But Spirit lifted me up and brought me to the inner court, and I saw that the temple was filled with the glory of the Lord. Then I heard someone speaking to me from the temple, while the man stood beside me. The voice said to me, Son of man, this is where my throne shall be. This is where I will set the soles of my feet. Here I will dwell among the Israelites forever. Never again shall they and their kings profane my holy name with their harlotries and with the corpses of their kings. When they placed their threshold against my threshold and their doorstep next to mine, so that only a wall was between us, they profaned my holy name and their abominable deeds. Therefore I consumed them in my wrath. From now on they shall put far from me their harlotry and the corpses of their kings, and I will dwell in their midst forever. As for you, Son of man, describe the temple to the house of Israel, that they may be ashamed of their sins, both its measurements and its design. Make known to them the form and design of the temple, its exits and entrances, all its statutes and laws. Write these down for them to see, so that they may carefully observe all its laws and statutes. This is the law of the temple. Its whole surrounding area on the mountaintop shall be most sacred. Say to that rebellious house, the house of Israel, Thus says the Lord God, Enough of all of these abominations of yours, O house of Israel. You have admitted foreigners, uncircumcised both in heart and flesh, to my sanctuary, thus to profane it when you offered me food, fat, and blood. Thus you have broken my covenant by all your abominations. That is from the 40th, 43rd, and 44th chapters of the book of Ezekiel. We've got a sermon from St. Vincent de Paul coming up after this on Michigan Mornings. Welcome back to a special edition of Michigan Mornings. Today is the memorial of St. Vincent de Paul. He was born in Gascony in 1581, and after completing his studies, he was ordained a priest and went to Paris, where he served in a parish. He founded the Congregation of the Mission to supervise the formation of priests and give support to the poor, and with the help of St. Louis de Marillac, he founded the Congregation of the Daughters of Charity. He died in Paris in 1660. This is from a writing that he had entitled, Serving the Poor is to be our first preference. Even though the poor are often rough and unrefined, we must not judge them from external appearances, nor from the mental gifts they seem to have received. On the contrary, if you consider the poor in the light of faith, then you will observe that they are taking the place of the Son of God, who chose to be poor. Although in his passion he almost lost the appearance of a man and was considered a fool by the Gentiles and a stumbling block by the Jews, he showed them that his mission was to preach to the poor. He sent me to preach the good news to the poor. We also ought to have this same spirit and imitate Christ's actions. That is, we must take care of the poor, console them, help them, and support their cause. Since Christ willed to be born poor, he chose for himself disciples who were poor. He made himself the servant of the poor and shared their poverty. He went so far as to say that he would consider every deed which either helps or harms the poor has done it for or against himself. Since God surely loves the poor, he also loves those who love the poor. For when one person holds another dear, he also includes in his affection anyone who loves or serves the one he loves. That is why we hope that God will love us for the sake of the poor. So when we visit the poor and needy, we try to be understanding where they are concerned. We sympathize with them so fully that we can echo Paul's words, "I've become all things to all men." Therefore, we must try to be stirred by our neighbor's worries and distress. We must beg God to pour out our hearts' sentiments of the pity and compassion, and to fill them again and again with these dispositions. It is our duty to prefer the service of the poor to everything else, and to offer such service as quickly as possible. If a needy person requires medicine or other help during prayer time, do what has to be done with peace of mind. Offer the deed to God as your prayer. Do not become upset or feel guilty because you interrupted your prayer to serve the poor. God is not neglected if you leave him for such service. One of God's works is merely interrupted so that another can be carried out. So when you leave prayer to serve some poor person, remember that this very service is performed for God. I'm Matthew Handley. Thanks for joining me on this special edition of Michigan Mornings on a Friday. Stay tuned to Ave Maria Radio for more inspiring and engaging Catholic Talk Radio, and Lord willing, I will talk to you again on Monday. Until then, goodbye.